Hello and welcome to Hughes the World with me, Graham Hughes. And today I can wear a proper outfit like I'm in South America because we've managed to get to our seventh nation in alphabetical order, which is Argentina! Yeah, Argentina. Woo! You see the flag there? That's the flag of Argentina. As you can see, it's blue at the top, blue at the bottom, and it's got this sun in the middle, which is the sun of May. You might recognise this from the flag of Uruguay. Now, I'm not going to get round to talking about Uruguay for a very long time because it begins with a U. But we're going to talk about Argentina tonight, which is going to be kind of cool. So I'll talk about the geography of the place. I'll talk about the history. I'll talk about my experiences there and the culture and all that kind of stuff and food and drink. I don't know. We'll have a good chat about it. Chubai says, no, I video. No, it's here. Javad says, great outfit, Graham. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I thought I'd look the part, like a gaucho. Because that's what Argentina's all about. That's what Argentina's all about. I just realised that I haven't actually set up my map. Now, I normally have a map on, so just give me a moment to sort this out because I need to find the right page here. Let me have a look. I don't want that. Should we use the Google map? Should we just go for Google Maps? We'll just go for Argentina. Sorry, I should have done this earlier. I just realised that I hadn't actually got it set up. Just bear with me a moment. Live television, you know how it is. It's not even television. It's not television. It's just, Anyway, let's have a look. Okay, I'll put that there, and then I can position. There should be a thing saying browser window or something. No. Chat window. No, that's that. Okay, I'm going to have to make a new thing. So I will do that now. And go for browser. Is it browser? No, it's window. Window capture, I think. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Create new. Window capture 2. Oh, perfect. Perfecto mundo. Okay, that's cool. And then move that to there. Sorry about this, everyone. Right, I will now change the picture of me into a picture of a map. There we go. Fantastic stuff. Good stuff. Right now, all I need to do is just out how to move this map around without losing me marbles. So that is a map of South America there. I'll zoom out a bit so you can see all of South America. Lovely. There it is. And that's Brazil, big country. It's the biggest country in Latin America is Brazil. And then underneath it here is Argentina. There you go. It says Argentina, so you know it's Argentina. It's bordered by the countries of Chile over here and Bolivia up here, and Paraguay over here, and Brazil over here, and Uruguay, the aforementioned Uruguay, which is kind of like Argentina's little brother. They're very friendly, Argentina and Uruguay. The other countries around Argentina, maybe not so much, but Chobai says I should make myself a cup of mate. Yes. I'm drinking mate now off screen. So, let's just drop the map for a moment and go back to whatever I was wibbling on about. There we go. So you know where it is in the world. I'll zoom in a minute just so you can see like the regions and stuff. But the things that you need to know about Argentina, these like top things you need to know. The population is 45 million people, which is about 2/3 the population of the United Kingdom. They are the home to the first Latin Nobel Prize winner. They have the largest rail network in the whole of Latin America, which I'll come to. I will come back to the rail network because it's interesting. The current Pope comes from Argentina. Messi, the football player, Maradona came from Argentina as well. He died recently. Mate is the big drink. This is mate. It's not. This is tea. Mate is a drink that's drunk through a metal straw, and it looks like you're drinking a load of like mulched up leaves or something. Well, they probably are leaves, aren't they? But that's the big drink over there that everyone likes. It's the largest Spanish-speaking country by area in the world, and it's the second biggest country in Latin America after Brazil, obviously, and it's also the 8th largest country in the world. It's pretty big. One of the most surprising things that you might be surprised to learn, surprisingly, about Argentina, though, is the Italian link. If you don't know this, you should know this. You should know this. The name Argentina isn't actually Spanish. The Spanish for silver, which is what it's named after, is plata, which is why you have the Rio Plate, the Rio Plata, between Buenos Aires and Uruguay. I've crossed it on a ferry boat a couple of times actually. But the Italian word from the Latin is Argentina or so, I don't know. It's an Italian word from the old Latin, and that's why the periodic symbol for silver is Ag. It's not Si or anything like that. It's Ag. Si is silicon. Everyone knows that. Right. Anyway, so yes, but there's more. There's more about the Italians in Argentina, because believe it or not, 62.5% of the population of Argentina are either partly or full Italian. Not Spanish, Italian. Yeah, remember that going forward, because it might make more things make more sense. Most native speakers in the world too, says Vincent Pryal. I think actually, I looked into this just before I came on air, and I think Wales is now. But at the time, the English government were trying to suppress the speaking of the Welsh language in Wales. They weren't allowing it to be taught in schools. So people who did speak Welsh weren't letting on that they could speak Welsh, because they wanted to teach other people how to speak Welsh. So they just sort of learnt in their villages and in their towns amongst themselves, and just sort of didn't get to learn it in school. Whereas the Welsh farmers, that went over to Argentina and lived in Patagonia in the south of the country, they could speak their own native language, which is nice. Seeing all the provinces makes you think, Graham will be one day the first person to visit every province / region in the world. Gerard, I would love to do that. I'd love to do it without flying. That would be my ultimate, but the way things are going politically in this country at the moment, I don't think I'm going to be able to leave here anytime soon. We seem to be drawing up our drawbridges and building barriers with everywhere else in the world because, I don't know, we're idiots. We're idiots, I guess. Big Irish connection too. Yeah, Admiral Brown, etc. The Italian influence is why Argentinian Spanish is so hard. Yeah, Argentinian Spanish is famously hilarious. Like in Spanish, you say mi llama, as in this double L, which is pronounced as like a Y. So mi llama Graham. This is my name is Graham. But if you try that in Buenos Aires, and it's pronounced Aires, like not Aries, Aries, with an I sort of sound at the beginning. They actually pronounce it as an SH. So it's Shama. It's like Mishama, Graham. And the people who live in Buenos Aires are called Porteños, because I think that comes from the word port. I don't know, like they all lived in the port, which is really cool. So let's talk about the geography. Now. That's someone else's show. Right, so if I head over to here, we've got Argentina. Now, Argentina is made up of 23 provinces, which I'm not going to bore you with now, but you can see the sort of light-coloured border marks on the map here. That's the lines of the different provinces. They're split into 7 main regions. I'm going to have to zoom the map out loads for you to be able to see them all. Wow. It is a big country, what can I say? Let's get that right there. Okay, that looks about right. Okay, so you've got, where have you got? You've got the northwest, which is over here, which is all kind of mountainous, and this is where you'd get a poncho from, like what I'm wearing. There's the Chaco, which is around here, I think. You've got Mesopotamia, which means the land of two rivers, from the ancient name for Iraq, which is over this area over here. Then you've got the Cujo, which is over here. The Pampas, which is somewhere around here. Patagonia, which is down here. And right down here, see this little island at the bottom, and it is an island. It is actually separate from everywhere else. This is Tierra del Fuego, and it was called Tierra del Fuego because I think the first guy to go past it, who was sorry, didn't mean to do that. Stupid mouse, come back, you fiend, you foul fiend. The first guy to see Tierra del Fuego was Magellan. It was Magellan's trip around the world when he was trying to get to the Spice Islands. He was trying to get to the Dutch Spice Islands. He wanted to find a different way of getting there where he wouldn't run into the Dutch. He was trying to find like a back door. And in the process, he discovered the Tierra del Fuego, which is a freezing cold, arid land of mountains and freezing cold ice, which he called the land of fire, which makes no sense whatsoever. And then he got into the Pacific Ocean and he went, oh, I'm going to call it the Pacifico, like calm. The calm ocean. This is the Pacific. You know, the Pacific that has these horrific storms. Well, I suppose it's not as bad as the Caribbean. I don't know. But he called it the Pacific Ocean. I don't know if that's a misnomer, like Greenland, Iceland. But it just seemed a bit odd to me. Interestingly enough, Magellan never made it around the world. People say the first person to circumnavigate the world was Magellan, but it wasn't. It was Magellan's crew. They made it all the way around the world. Magellan got killed in the Philippines by one of the chiefs in the Philippines. Didn't like the look of him, so they killed him. And his men on their ships, they managed to find to get to the Dutch East Indies, West Indies, whatever they called them back then. It would have been East Indies, which is now Indonesia. And they thought, well, actually, it'll be quicker to go back to Portugal if we just keep on going. You know, like at the end of Thelma and Louise, they were like, let's just keep on going. They were a bit like that. So they just kept on going all the way around, which was really, really cool. And they got back. Only one ship got back. And Magellan didn't get back. But that's going to be in the story of Portugal. But that trip around the world is immortalised on the flag of Paraguay, which has a globe on it. And that globe represents the voyage of Magellan's crew. Anyway, so first of all, Buenos Aires. It's pronounced Buenos Aires, not Buenos Aires. Something that gets up my nose, right, is when people say Barcelona instead of Barcelona. It just kind of, I don't know, it annoys me. But at the same time, I'm such a hypocrite because when people say Melbourne, it annoys me because it's like saying Edinburgh. No, it's pronounced Melbourne, as in a bun, like a hot cross bun, Melbourne. That's what they call it there in the actual place. But then if we were going to go off what people actually call their own countries, everything would be different. I think that Egypt would be Misir and Australia would be Australia. And we'll call things lots of different things. Anyway, but it'll get very confusing. Now, I went to Buenos Aires a couple of times in my life. Well, I've been to Argentina a couple of times in my life. I went first in the summer of 2002. Which I'll talk about a little bit in the history of the place because it was turmoil at the time. And then I went back in 2009 when things had sort of settled down quite a lot. And I had a great time. The thing that I learned on the second time I went was that maybe I just didn't notice it the first time I was there because it was all a bit of a blur. But the second time I was there, it was New Year. And I was beginning my Odyssey expedition to every country in the world. And it was starting in Argentina. And I was super excited. I was going to cross the River Plate from Argentina into Uruguay on the 1st of January 2009, right? And so I thought, right, New Year party. And a friend of a friend who used to live in Liverpool, she was having a party. And I was like, can I come to your party? She's like, yeah, oh my God, you're going to be in Buenos Aires. Come to my party. It's going to be amazing. She's Argentinian. And so I'm thinking, okay, what time do I get there? She's like, 1:30, 2 o'clock. I'm like, what? Midnight's at midnight, you know, the New Year's at midnight. Yeah, but we're having dinner with our family then. And I went, is this normal? Is this just something that you do at New Year's? No, we don't go out to a club till after midnight. I mean, are you insane? Why would you go anywhere before midnight? Duh. And it's because, I don't know if it's just exclusively in Buenos Aires or if it's everywhere in Argentina, but they have their dinner really late. Like normally they eat at about 9, 10 o'clock at night. Which makes sense to me because after I eat, I just want to go to sleep. I don't want to stay up and watch EastEnders. Anyway, so back into the messages. Sorry I'm late talking about drones. Okay, Brenna. Joe went to a nice Argentinian restaurant in Harlem. Very good steak. Ooh, don't mention Mars. Oh, I don't know. I've not been watching that. I was preparing for this. And I haven't watched it. Did it not work? Did it all go horribly wrong? Quick, Martin, tell me. There was a mission to Mars. It was supposed to land a lander on Mars, a rover on Mars. Please tell me it worked. Was it? Yeah. Oh dear. Barcelona is is in Catalan is not pronounced like Manuel. Excellent. Well, that's good. Well, I'm going to continue saying Barcelona without the TH in it because it's a C. It's a C. I'm going to pronounce it as a C unless it's got a cedilla underneath it, so it sounds like something else. I'm going to pronounce it as a C. All right. Does that map include the Falklands? Said Senna. Well, I mean, it doesn't. It might include it as a map of the area because it's Google Maps. It's not a map of Argentina. But we're going to come to the Falklands. I swear. I mean, we've got to talk about the Falklands, don't we? Seeing all the provinces makes you think, Graham. I read that one. The Queen of the Netherlands comes from Argentina. That's a good little fact there from Gerard. Didn't know that. British built the railway there, I believe. So Shubite. Yes, I was going to come to that. Super chat. I got a super chat from Alex Morgan. Thank you, Alex Morgan. Woo, 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 woo. Super chat. And he's had like a special effect or something that I can do. Maybe he's got some castanellas or something. Super chat. £10. Favourite hour of the week. Been enjoying your travel live stream, Graham. What's the rough release of your next book? Says Alex Morgan. Oh, God, I don't know. When I can stop working for a minute and relax, that'll be it. When I've got like some time to relax. I want to write the next book, and I've been given some funding to do it from people who have funded me to pay the next book. I'm writing it at the moment, but I have to admit I haven't actually written anything since the beginning of the year because I've just been so crazy busy with this and live shows and the Rejoin campaign and Grassroots for Europe, and Global Scouts Day is coming up next week, and there's lots of things going on. Sorry, maybe next month. Graham, you have a green hat. Yay! Thank you, Wonka. Greenland was green. Betty Biscuit says, my German friend's late grandfather was an engineer who worked in Argentina. She found a photo album showing him in various places in Buenos Aires and tracked down the backgrounds and recreated his pics. Oh my God, Betty Biscuit, that is so cool. I'd love to do something like that. It's cold in Argentina. In fact, it's bordering on Chile. That's Gaz there. Gaz Riley, Scouser sense of humour. Nicholas Rosetto says, I am Argentinian. Ask me anything. Yay! Okay, I will. Perseverance landed perfect. Green lights all around. Yes! Perseverance has landed safely. The very first probe to be named after a Terrorvision song, which you've got to respect. Sorry, it sounds boring, but look cool. She explained what she was doing, and the government officials, etc., let her into a private building to create her grandpa's pic. I don't think that sounds boring at all. That sounds like something that I would do. That sounds awesome. Irene Hughes says, hi, Graham. Hi, Mum. And Umka says, stream is interrupted. What? Oh my God, what? No, don't. I've got nothing. How is this? Let me just check my phone, see if my phone's trying to steal my internet. My phone is trying to steal internet. Stupid phone. Bad. Nasty phone. Bad. It's really hot in here now that I'm wearing this. This poncho's really hot. Jesus. I didn't realise. I might have to take this shirt off from underneath it. I think I will, actually. But there you go. Whew, whew. It's freezing cold outside. I don't know why it's so warm in this thing. They must be made to survive in the high up Andean mountains. So that makes sense. The national sport of Argentina, well, one of them. The national sport is footy, obviously, but their own sport is called, I think, something like pato. Pato, am I saying that right? Nicholas is going to have to let me know. It's a national sport, and it's a bit like polo meets basketball. Is that a good way of describing it? You're on horseback and you got to throw a ball into a net. Okay, so yeah, not somebody called a net, because that wouldn't be very nice. I mean, like a net. Area around Buenos Aires is called the Buenos Aires province, and that's got 17 million people in there. So it's a bit like Greater London in that it's just got a huge amount of the population all kind of bunched into one area, which is Buenos Aires. Then you've got You've got sort of the other areas where you've got the gaucho, sort of Argentinian cowboys, and then up in the northwest mountains, you've got the remains of the Pucara civilization, and also you have a poncho festival, so I'm going to head there one year with my poncho and see if I can win. Then you've got the Chaco, which is between, it's up in the northeast, and it's tropical rainforest, and you've got the Welsh community down in Patagonia, you've got the mountains, the Andes, Aconcagua, which is the highest mountain in South America, in the Americas actually. Aconcagua is on the border of Chile and Argentina, and I know it should be Chile, but I just like saying Chile. All right, chill. And there's great places there. I've been to Resistencia, which is the sculpture capital of the world. It's got loads of sculptures. There's also Cordoba, which is famous for its comedians. So there's a bit of a Liverpool connection there. And I think it was in Cordoba that I went to the Penny Lane Cafe. They had a Penny Lane Cafe in Cordoba, which I absolutely loved, because representing. Also, Cordoba has a very big German population, so you know what that means. Yeah, Lederhosen. No, Oktoberfest. They have a big Oktoberfest there every year, which is worth going to. If you like getting drunk, and who doesn't like getting drunk, eh? Yeah, that's a bad thing to ask, really, isn't it? Teetotalers, people who can't drink for whatever reason. Then you've got the sort of there's a place up in the northwest called the San Salvador de it looks like Jujoy, but it's pronounced hoi hoi. I might be saying it wrong. I think it's pronounced hoo hoi. San Salvador de hoo hoi. And I've been there as well, and that's sort of like Andean culture up there. So it's up in the mountains. It's quite near the border with Bolivia, and it's where it's nearby these salt plains. I think they're called. I've forgotten what they're called now, but there's the famous salt plain in Bolivia, which is the Salar de Uyuni. And it's south of there. There's massive salt plains and stuff. You got La Pampa, which is also called the land of ghosts because hardly anyone lives there, which I think is a bit unfair. Mendoza, which I really like. That's a wine region, and the main town is called Mendoza. It always sticks in my head, especially when I'm watching Mysterious Cities of Gold with the stepkids. Yes, I'm forcing them to watch it because the main character in that is called Mendoza. Well, the main adult character in it is called Mendoza, and it always reminds me. And in 2002, I happened to be in Brazil when I'm going to sound like the guy from the Fast Show now who says, which was nice, but I happened to be in Brazil, in Rio, when they won the World Cup in 2002, when Brazil won the World Cup. And after they won, I had to go and meet some friends at the other side of town. So I got into a taxi, and this taxi was trying to get through this crowd of people who were just partying on the streets, drinks everywhere. It was so sunny and hot. It was just a brilliant, brilliant day. And some guy comes running over to my taxi, like a maniac. And obviously I got the windows wound down because it was dead hot. And he's like banging on the top of the car like this. And I'm like, I'm in trouble here. Have I offended someone? And he goes, Mendoza! And I'm like, what? Mendoza? What are you talking about? You stayed in a hostel with me in Mendoza, and that mother effer snoring kept us awake all night. And I remembered like a month earlier when I was traveling through Argentina, I had actually been in Mendoza in the youth hostel in the backpackers, and someone in our dorm snored like the walls were shaking, and this guy had been in the same dorm as me, and he was like, and he just wanted to have a shout about what a pain in the arse this guy was. A good few thousand miles away, but he just spotted me in the taxi and came running over. So that's what always reminds me of Mendoza now when everyone says it, is this sort of tanked up, I think it was German or something, he came running over to me, Mendoza! Anyway, true story. Also, there's Misiones, I think it's called, which is right up, where there's this fantastic waterfall called the Foz de Iguazu. I might be pronouncing that wrong. Foz de Iguazu, let's say Iguazu. And there are these spectacular waterfalls which are on the borders of Brazil and Argentina, and also really close to the border with Paraguay. And that area is kind of like a little panhandle that goes up there. It's named after the missionaries that used to be up there. And there's still a lot of evidence of old Spanish architecture, missionary style, architecture. And you've ever seen the movie The Mission with, who did it have in it? That guy who always plays very good parts. He's a really good actor. He was in it. It'll come back to me. The guy from There Will Be Blood and In the Name of the Father and Lincoln and, oh God, help me out here. I'm dying. It's got him in it. Gabriel? Something Gabriel? No? Oh God, someone tell me. Someone put me out of my misery. Who's the guy from There Will Be Blood? It's got him in it, but what's even better than the movie, it is a good movie, don't get me wrong, it's made in the 80s, is the score by Ennio Morricone, which is like one of the best scores ever. And even if you haven't seen or heard of the movie, you've probably heard the score. Anyway, they nail him to a cross and push him over the falls. It's quite epic. Gabriel Byrne? No, he used to present a TV show, didn't he? De Niro and Jeremy Irons. Oh, Jeremy Irons. All right. Well, it wasn't the person I was thinking of then. That's someone else. It was the guy who was in Lost in Mohicans. That's it. Daniel Day-Lewis. That's who I was thinking of. God, it's torture this, isn't it? Right, where are we? We're halfway through. I haven't even started the history yet. We're still talking about the geography. This is Tierra del Fuego, which I pointed out just earlier, is an island shared with Chile. And then they have a claim over the Islas Malvinas, which is the Falkland Islands, South Georgia Island, and the South Sandwich Islands, which are claimed by the UK at the moment. A bit more because the people who live there want to be part of the UK. Crazy people, I don't know why, but so we've got to respect that, I guess. Anyway, let's move on to the history before I get myself into trouble. Jeremy Irons, sorry, I was thinking of Daniel Day-Lewis is not in The Mission. Yes, Pedro, yes, Pedro, I've got that far. Sorry, wrong person. Anyway, I remember being blind drunk in Leblon in Rio and getting a bit lost, says Gaz. Yeah, never a good area to get drunk and lost in, mate. But, you know, you're still here. You're still here to tell the tale. Umka says, many Nazis escaped to Argentina. Is that true? Yes, it's true. Many Nazis did hid in Argentina. I think Salta was the place where was it Salta? I don't know. It might have been Salta. But there was a particular area where they all sort of went after the war. And they were helped out of Nazi Germany by the Pope. Thanks, Popey. Anyway, so look. Argentina is a country of immigrants. Although the first human settlements have been found, remnants of them found in the southern tip of Patagonia from around 13,000 years ago. In the pre-Columbian times, there was only a couple of tribes that actually stayed there and grew food, maize and tubers and cassava and stuff. But the people who lived in what's now Argentina were mostly nomadic hunter-gatherers that hunted the guanaco, which was a llama, a llama. It was a relative of the llama. And then in 1502, Amerigo Vespucci has to come and ruin the party. I'm just going to finish this tea off because it's going cold. That's better. All right. In 1502, in 1502, Amerigo Vespucci arrived in the area. But it wasn't until 1536 that a guy called Pedro de Mendoza established Buenos Aires. But they abandoned it because they got attacked by the indigenous people too much. So they abandoned it about 5 years later or something. They re-established the city in 1580, but it languished compared with other places like Tucumán and Cordoba and Salta. The land was mostly distributed to Argentinians and not the Indian population, and the Spaniards returning to the Pampas in the late 16th century found all these horses and all this cattle that had been abandoned there like 100 years earlier, and they found that they had bred like crazy things because they didn't have much in the way of natural predators, and this created the environment for the legendary gaucho, the Argentinian cowboy, to come into being. It's a very Argentinian bit of pride, that cowboys and steak, they're really into their steak over there. Make no mistake, they like their steak. In 1776, the Spanish crown established the viceroyalty of the Rio de la Plata. Okay, so that was an umbrella of territories, pretty much what we know now as Argentina. I think it also included what's now Paraguay, or a bit of that, and a bit of what's now Peru. I mean, those borders were they moved about a little bit, not too much actually, because the border with Chile, for instance, is the freaking Andes. I mean, you can't get around that. That's a natural barrier. So obviously, two different countries sprang up because of the natural barrier. It happens. This viceroyalty, or the viceroy, basically ruled the roost, and they fended off some British invaders in 1806 and 1807, and then a few years later they rose up against the Spanish and they declared independence on the 9th of July 1816, and Hawaii was the first territory on earth that recognized Argentina's independence. Well, there you go. Now you know. Then there was a big battle. There was a big civil war, as things generally happen after declaring independence, revolution, Brexit, whatever. And it was the Federalists versus the Centralists. So the Federalists were the people, the conservative people out in the country, whereas the Centralists were the metropolitan elite. Let's call them that. And they looked to Europe and immigrant culture for ideas and capital and things like that. And basically the subsequent vindictive and brutal conflicts nearly exhausted the country, which wasn't called the Argentine Republic until a few years later, until 1826, and then it was called, for the first time, Argentina, which is as we know it today. And then you had the head of the Federalists was a guy called Juan Miquel de Rosas, and they prevailed in 1831. He became the leader of the country. He built a large army. He created a ruthless police force and institutionalized torture. Nice guy. This is a quote. Rosas applied the knife of the gaucho to the culture of Buenos Aires. In 1852, Justo Jose de, I'm never going to say this correctly, Iquista, took over power, and there was a new constitution. And British Airways, oh my God, I've written it down as my notes as BA, so I have just actually said British Airways out loud. Oh my God, I'm going to call my agents and just fire myself. Not that I have an agent, but if I did, I would fire myself. Buenos Aires seceded from the Union for a few years, but then it came back after a very brutal battle in 1859. And then it was all one country, Argentina, until now, basically. So that's how it came to sort of be the country that we know of it. Anyway, starting with the presidency of Julio Argentino Roca, in 1880, 10 consecutive federal governments emphasised liberal economic policies, and thus began a massive wave of European immigration, which was only second only to the United States. Okay, and this led to a near reinvention of Argentinian culture and society, and also the economy. They got immigrants from Switzerland, from France, from Germany, from lots from Italians. There were successful farmers, and people moved out to sort of Santa Fe, and people moved to Patagonia. There was an influx of Irish people, just like there was in America, and also Welsh, which we've mentioned earlier. There's a Welsh colony set up in Argentina. It was invited over by the Argentinian government to do so, where they could live and be Welsh people in happiness, and they wouldn't be oppressed by the English, telling them not to speak Welsh. Grr, stop speaking Welsh, when we're massive hypocrites being English, because we used to have a Prime Minister, David Lloyd George, who was Welsh, and his first language was Welsh. But anyway, English people got a really snooty attitude towards the Welsh. And I like to make jokes about the Welsh because half my family's Welsh. But at the end of the day, you know, it's a bit rude. It's a bit rude when you're the sort of the bigger power of two, and then you make fun of the people that you've been oppressing for over 1,000 years. But I'm not going to go there. We'll get there when we get to Wales, which will be in about 4.5 years' time. Yes. Anyway, so basically, what happened was at this time, they got all this capital in from all around the world. They got all these immigrants in. The British, as it was already mentioned in the comments here, the British built the railway. Well, they paid the capital built the railway. The Argentinians built the railway, probably indentured labourers built the railway, but it got built with British capital. And in the 1880s, immigration that led to Buenos Aires' population almost doubling overnight. It was just incredible. There was improvements in urban services, transport, power, water improved, and Argentina became the 7th richest country in the world. At one point, it was the richest country in the world per capita GDP. In about 1896, the richest country in the world, man. Do you know what it is today for per capita GDP? 61st. Not first, but 61st. And I'd like to say this as a word of warning to anyone watching this who does not share my belief that Brexit is a really, really bad idea, because they can't imagine Britain, which was the 5th biggest economy in the world, slipping down the league table that quickly. But that's how fast you go, because you've got the EU, you've got China, you've got Japan, the USA. They're all massive economies, and we're half the size, economically wise, as Japan. So we're in the medium-sized countries. We're at the top. We were at the top of the medium-sized countries, along with Germany. It's not a long way down to the bottom. That's all I want to say. That's all I want to say about that. Anyway, right, back onto Argentina, which is what I'm supposed to be talking about tonight. Did you see how I had to check my monitor then to see I was actually pointing at the right thing? And Argentina, that says Hughes of the world. Anyway, so very wealthy country, but the wealth was not distributed equally. So that sowed seeds of problems, because I say problems, going into the future, going into the 20th century. On the onset of the 1929 Depression, the military mounted a coup d'etat in 1930, and it marked the steady economic and social decline, and leading to the underdeveloped country that Argentina is today, unfortunately. It's getting back on its feet, but it's been through a lot of shit in the last 100 years. It really, really has. So, like I said, Argentina became very wealthy, but it wasn't very equal. A lot of that money was in the hands of the landed elite. Oh, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Anyway, the Labour Party, which was renamed, I can't say this word, I was trying earlier to try and say it out loud, but the Labour Party was later renamed the Judicialist Party. Am I saying that right? I don't know. And that was led by Domingo Perón, and that took the presidency in 1946. I'm just going to jump into the messages just to see if I catch up. Rio de la Plata, River of Silver, indeed. Chubby says it was expensive, a small can of beer, $3. Apart from BA, I camped everywhere, very friendly people, and lots of the young Argentinians hitchhiking around. Yep, Argentinians love hitchhiking. I'll come to that later when I talk about the people. Where is the Andes? On the end of Euristes. That's from SRM, Solar Radiation Management, Geoengineering. Peter Wojelko says many Poles migrated there after Poland was partitioned between Germany and Russia. Polish helped retain Argentinian sovereignty in 1812. Polish nation liked to fight. Yes, that's very true. The Polish nation do like to fight. That's why one of the reasons why the squadron with the highest kills in World War II in the RAF was the Polish squadron. So there you go. 1812 again. So much happened that year. It did, but we didn't bother burning down the White House until 1814. But it was in the War of 1812. Not to be confused with the 1812 Overture, which wasn't written in 1812 either. That was written years later by Tchaikovsky, but it was to celebrate Napoleon's retreat from Moscow. I believe. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again, I guess, one day. So many Italians in Argentina that Argentinian Spanish has an Italian accent. Well, that's why everything's read, spoken, funny. I just go back to one. Chubby says, when I was in Argentina in 95-96, met people who said the latest reform allowed them to import stuff and that they were going to set up businesses. The peso was pegged to the US 1-to-1. Yeah, that's right, it was. And then when I got there, so this is my book from 2002, and I've actually written on the front page, they got a nice map there of my travels. Oh no, it's gone see-through because of my, the green has got a bit see-through, but you should be able to see a bit of marker pen there. No, sorry, biro there. So my travels, but on the first page of the history of the place, I think. Oh God, you're gonna get so bored of this. Oh, that's South America. Oh no, I'm looking at the South America book, and that's why it's obviously there. You go. All right, so Argentina, as you can see there, and up here it says NV, which stands for no visa, and down here I've crossed out the 1 peso equals $1, and I've replaced it with 83.50. So when I was there, $1 equaled 83.50 pesos. So yeah, that's because it all went a bit tits up. Anyway, so back onto the history of this place. Eleanor Roosevelt famously said, "Ooh, poor Niagara," when she visited the waterfalls, the Falls of the Iguazu. That's a true story. I said that as well. I saw the Niagara Falls many years later, and it was just the kind of, oh, that's nice. I mean, it would have been way more impressive if I saw Niagara first, to be honest with you, but there you go. Spent 2 days at Foz de Iguazu. I spent a day on the Argentinian side and a day on the Brazilian side. It's just absolutely fantastic. And these amazingly big butterflies, the biggest, the most amazing butterflies, like this big, like spread out with the wings out. Like this big. Like seriously, they were huge. Like a bit wider than my head. It's pretty wide. And yeah, they were everywhere. They're everywhere. These beautiful coloured giant butterflies everywhere around the falls when I was there. Really stuck around. And the noise, the roar of the water of these rivers. It's like 7 rivers, don't they all come together at this one place and go over the edge? So it's a massive area. It's not just like one little waterfall. It's like loads of waterfalls all spread out. It's way impressive. A lot more impressive than the Angel Falls in Venezuela. Sorry to say, which is the highest, but not the most exciting, I don't think. Iguazu Falls is nicest on the Argentinian side and the Brazilian side. That's from David. Yeah, I would go with that actually, but there's not much in it. I mean, it's impressive from whatever angle you look at it. The truth is, I never left you. All through my wild days, my mad existence, I kept my promise. Don't keep your distance, says Pedro Maverick. Nice one, Pedro. See what you did there. Anyway, back into the history, because where were we? We just, Evita's husband, Juan Perón, had just taken the presidency. It was 1946. He set about nationalising industries and services. He improved wages, working conditions. He paid the external debt and achieved nearly full employment and gave women the vote in 1947. Yes! But then he engaged in political suppression. And he had this big problem with students and university professors. 2,000 university professors were fired, and he had it in for this, what he called the intelligentsia. He said, no, don't you be intelligent. I'm the only one stupid people in my country, because stupid people are easier to manipulate, said Boris Johnson, said Pol Pot. Anyway, so threats, intimidation, violence, and he wanted power over the unions, because the unions that he empowered then stood up to him and said, hey, wait, what are you doing? Do this, we want you to do this. And he went, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, go on, do this, or we'll do that. Oh, no, I don't want you to do that, so I'll oppress you as well. And basically, that ended in violence and torture. So, not great. He did get re-elected in 51, though, and his wife, Eva Perón, died in 1952, and the economy continued to tank as a result of his. Probably if he'd done his reforms, they would have been all right, but having reforms and suppression at the same time, it's not very motivating for people, is it? It's not something that people, I'm going to make loads of money, and then loads of people have money, and then they'll make the economy better, because you think, well, what's the point? If I get any money, the government will take it off me and probably kill me. So I won't make any money. I'll just keep digging this field and keep my gob shut until this government goes away, which is what I'm planning to do for the next 10 years. I'm just going to keep my gob shut and hope this government goes away by itself, somehow, magically. Anyway, so the tension between Perón and the unions and pretty much everybody, because what Perón's probably biggest mistake was he went in for a policy of protectionism. And he might have been able to get away with having an authoritarian government, because China does, Singapore does, Britain does, but he went in for the protectionist racket, and protectionism never works. People say that the EU is a protectionist racket, and you're like, well, how? If you say that, but it's got all these different countries in, it's not protecting the interests of one country. So we've left it so we can protect the interests of one country, and protectionism always seems to end in economic decline, which is what happened. And in the case of Argentina, violence and torture. Anyway, so the Navy, this is unbelievable. The Navy in 1955, it bombed the Plaza de Mayo in Buenos Aires. It bombed it while they were having a Peronist rally. They didn't manage to kill Perón himself, but they managed to kill, let me get this right, 308 civilians, including 6 children. Many of the bodies were so charred by the bombing. I mean, the Navy and they've sent planes out to bomb civilians who were marching, but they were having a rally for the leader of the country. Jesus. Anyway, so he survived, but he went into exile. Perón, sorry, he survived. He went into exile into Spain and began the Litadora Revolution, the Revolution Litadora in 1955, which began nearly 3 decades of disastrous military rule, which was not good. Meanwhile, Perón, he was still alive in Spain, plotted his revenge, came back in 1973 and won the presidency through a bit of, scheming and jeeving. But he died a year later. So after all that, he was like, yes, I'm the president again. Woo! And then he died. And guess who took over? His son. No, I'm joking. It's not like it was a monarchy. No, his wife. His third wife, actually, whose name was Isabel. Actually, it wasn't Isabel. I think it was Maria or something, but she was known as Isabel. She took over the presidency, and she was a grade school dropout and a former nightclub dancer. So that ended just as well as you would possibly imagine. She was totally incompetent, and she was deposed by the military in 1976. But before that happened, we ended up in a situation where there was the military junta, which ran the country. Then you had these left-wing people called the Montoneros, who were communists. And then you had the anti-communists, the AAA, the AAA, who I assume also fixed cars. And you had and you also had another group of basically what was a paramilitary death squad. They assassinated labor leaders and academics and other subversives and whoever. So the anti-communist alliance was sort of on the side of the junta, and the Montoneros, I'm trying to say this right, Montoneros were on the side of the communists, or the common folk, let's say. They were against the military junta. But they went around kidnapping and executing their enemies and robbing banks and bombing foreign companies as well. So the country was very soon in absolute tatters, and the so-called process of national reorganization led to an unparalleled reign of terror under General Jorge Vielda. Thousands died in this horrific, what they called the dirty war against the Montoneros. Basically, these paramilitary death squads, like the AAA, can claim many more victims, and the dictatorship itself barely distinguished between guerrillas and those who resisted the guerrillas, those who sympathized with the guerrillas without assisting them, and those who expressed reservations about what the government were doing. They were all kind of lumped into one category, and at least 9,000 people, possibly 3 times that many, were disappeared, which meant they were tortured, beaten, and then thrown out of a plane, usually into the ocean to die, without legal process at all. And the government rarely acknowledged detentions, pretended nothing was happening and nothing was going wrong. This ended in 1982 with the Falklands War. Right, so I'm not going to defend. Let's not go into the Falklands too much. I think we're running out of time. We've only got 7 minutes left. Jesus Christ! Although I did start a bit late, so I will go on a little bit. I think because I want to talk about my experiences in Argentina. Okay, so in 1982, this failing military junta decided that it was going to have one last roll of the dice. It was becoming more and more unpopular at home. Its position was becoming more and more untenable. The riots, protests, and generally uprising against the government was like, we want rid of these bastards. And so the government did what every government does when it's on its back foot, and it goes, let's invade somewhere. Let's have a war. Wars are good. Let's make someone else the enemy, so that everyone's obsessing over that enemy rather than us doing these awful things. It's a tried and tested method used by military dickheads and government politicians since year dot. I think it's a weapon of mass destruction. Don't look at us. Don't look at what we're doing. Look what they're doing over there. The ultimate whataboutism. And they basically got a gang of people, like literally 5 people, to go over to the South Georgia island and turn up and say, right, this is Argentinian now. And the people on the South Georgia island were like, what? Hey? Got on the phone. Get Margaret Thatcher on the phone. And Margaret Thatcher was gearing up to maybe have another election in a few years' time. And this gave her the opportunity to come back in the polls very strong and basically wipe the floor with the then Labour leader, Michael Foot, by winning very quickly the Falklands War against the Argentinian military. I can't say that it was against Argentina, because I don't think many of the people of Argentina were quite happy for the government to be wasting what little money they had left on fighting a pointless war to take over a rock in the Atlantic Ocean, which no one really had much interest in. People have gone, oh, but there's oil. I don't think there's any oil there. I think it's just a rock. It's got some sheep on it. I know it's a big thing in Argentina, but it's been made into a big thing by the Argentinian equivalent of Nigel Farage, as far as I'm concerned. Self-determination, I'm all for self-determination. Ask the people who live there what they want. And we've asked the people of the Falkland Islands what they want. They say, we want to be ruled by Britain. Okay, that might seem mad to most people, but that's what they want. And historical claims over other places at this stage in the Earth's development, it's a bit mad now, because it is not doing any good. I think it's time to just go, okay, well, we'll let that one go. Argentina is the 8th biggest country in the world. It doesn't necessarily need to be any bigger. But that's just my point on it. Anyway, the military dictatorship fell as a result of losing the Falklands War. So, in a way, inadvertently, Margaret Thatcher actually did something good, I guess. But then Argentina had to struggle back onto its feet, which was a bit of a process. During the military rule, they paid lip service to austerity, which attracted billions of dollars of overseas money, which went to pay for daft public works and weapons, lots of weapons to kill Argentinian people with. And this import splurge and the debt burden, led to the peso inflating to astronomical levels. And this 1982 continued economic retaliation, deterioration, and public discontent brought mass demonstrations against the leader, who by that was a guy called Galtieri. He got beaten. And then a year later, a guy called Raul Alfonsin won the 1983 elections. And Raul was pretty good. I think he ran on a pledge to try military officers for human rights violations and to convict people of murder, basically. And he did. He managed to get quite a few of them, except junior officers seemed to get away with it on the old, we were just following orders line, but there you go. And then in 1989, President Carlos Menem came to power. Now, he was actually one of the disappeared. He was one of the people who had been held as a prisoner in the dirty war. And he inexplicably pardoned some of the officers, some of the high-up officers. But, that was his thing. He just wanted peace and retribution. Not retribution, what's it called? Reconciliation. The opposite of retribution. So fair enough. And he embraced neoliberal policies, which was in vogue around that time, because it was when the Berlin Wall came down and the Soviet Union collapsed and everyone was going, communism? No thanks. Anyway, so that went on till about 1999. De La Rua, born in 1999, became president, and he kept Menem's economic policies, despite the worsening crisis, because things were not turning out as well as they should, which was leading to growing social discontent. And then the 2001 economic crisis, which I've just spoken about, there was a run on the banks. People wanted their money out of their banks because they were losing so much money, and people were queuing up outside the banks, and it just the whole economy just essentially collapsed. Led to riots in the December of 2001, which led to De La Rua having to resign. I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm going to just jump into some of the messages here. He sounds like a real common bloke. Ever since visiting South America, Graham has said the second biggest butterfly I've ever seen. Yes, indeed. I got some big butterflies on Ginger Island now and again, by the way. Matthew Persson says, Perron didn't see why a farmer's son would want anything to be other than the farmer. Yeah, lack of social mobility, which annoys me, because social mobility is a big thing. As far as I'm concerned, I want the opportunity, not a dream of possibly one day, but actual, in reality, being able to better yourself throughout your life. And it doesn't matter what your circumstances of your birth are. But, that's just me. He tried to drown Pugliese, who was the ultimate Chad in Argentina. I don't really know what that means. Chubai said, I had a bus from Asunción to Argentina. I didn't stop at Foz. Didn't know why. Oh, what? God, yeah. I don't know if the bus would have gone through past the Foz they go through from Asunción. It might have done. Asunción, which is the capital of Paraguay, for everyone who's not been there. Paraguay is, that's coming up in the P section of this series. Umka says, Perron learned from Lenin, get rid of any opposition, nationalise everything so people depend on government only. That's Umka, very good point, Umka. Gerard van der Acker says, the Queen of the Netherlands is Maxima Zorrigueta, daughter of Jorge Zorrigueta, who was the Secretary of Agriculture in the regime of General Videla. Who I mentioned badly before. I think I completely mispronounced his name. Unka says AAA, authorization and accounting. Matthew Persson, has they chopped off Perron's hands yet? I don't think so. I don't know. Chubai says, in BA, there were still odd photos of the disappeared. Yeah, there was a famous protest of the mothers of the disappeared, and they protested, I think it was every day in Buenos Aires, and they wouldn't leave until they found out. Matthew Persson says, I went to the Torture Museum at ESMA. Awful place. Matthew Persson says, you mean Los Malvinas? Yes, that's what the Argentinians call the Falkland Islands, the Islas Malvinas. But I do think that I don't know. I feel in a way it's like the British pretending that they actually care. Well, the English pretending that they actually care about Northern Ireland. They'll fight. They'll put young men and women on the line to die to keep Northern Ireland. But at the end of the day, if Northern Ireland didn't exist, we wouldn't be any economically worse off. We wouldn't. It's Britain. It's Britain. You get loads of people now who don't want Scotland to leave the UK, and yeah, I get that because I don't want to stop being British. But at the same time, I'm thinking if they want to leave, we've got to ask the people who live there, what do you want to do? And if they go, well, not happy with the way things have turned out with Brexit, we want to leave, I think we have to respect that. Although I do think, having said that, I do think that it should be a 2/3 majority. You can quote me on that. Well, at least a 60% majority to leave, because it is a huge historical event, and it shouldn't be a 50-50 thing. I've got a super chat from Umka. Thank you very much, Umka. What about education there? Why, after many years, people still believe in communism and to populists? Well, the education in Argentina, I don't know too much about it, but I assume that it's still a bit difficult out in the sticks to get decent education. It takes a long time for reforms to filter through, and yeah, there's a lot of people in the UK who still think communism is a great idea. And they'll come up to me at parties and corner me, normally stinking of pot, going, it's a great idea on paper, obviously, but it doesn't work in practice. And I'll be like, no, it's a terrible idea on paper, because it relies on people not being selfish arseholes. And do you know what? I hate to break it to you, but a lot of people are selfish arseholes. So let's have a system like socialism and capitalism sort of mushed together, where you can allow the selfish arseholes to be selfish arseholes to some extent, but also make sure they pay tax, so we look after everybody. But yeah, there you go. But yeah, thank you, Umka, for my £5 super chat, €5 super chat. The Argentinians do a nice steak. That is very true. Blame Canada. So is the UK going to invade Greenland? Might happen, Martin. The UK can invade Vanuatu and claim a great victory. Yes. Vanuatu has one of my favourite flags in the world. I love the flag of Vanuatu. It is a fantastic flag. It is up there with the flag of South Africa, which is another fantastic flag. But yeah, and the new flag of Libya is pretty good. It's a lot better than the old one, which was just green. It was just a green flag, which probably means something in Formula One. Money died a few days ago, age 90. Menem died. Sorry, not Money, lol. Sorry. Menem died age 90 a few days ago. Oh, rest in peace, Menem. The loans were in US dollars and paid in pesos. Okay, when the rate was the same. Well, exactly, yeah. Osvaldo Pugliese was a tango musician and communist who Perón's goons tried to kill. It doesn't surprise me. They tried to kill a lot of people. Ben Lassler says, a fellow vexiologist. Yes, I'm quite into my flags. If you notice, if you notice these flags that are in the corner, I've actually redrawn every flag in all the nation flags. I redrew them myself. So that star in that sun in the middle of there is basically hand drawn. Well, I say hand drawn. I drew it on Photoshop, but like I drew all the lines for it, and that's why it's all because I wanted to make it all kind of a bit. It was for an intro sequence to this show that I had in my head 10 years ago, that I never got around to putting together, but I will put it together at some point, and it'll come up, and it'll be all the different flags of the world, and probably my face, thumbs up, going, and it will only last maybe 2 seconds, and it'll just say, "Here's the world." Anyway, right, back to the messages. Nepal flag is cool. Yes, I really do like the Nepal flag as well, because it's like 2 triangles, and it's not a normal size flag. It's pretty good, but we can talk about flags another time, because we are 11:05. And I think my hour's up, but I'm quite got to the end of the story here. So I was just talking about the crisis in 2001. And then Nestor Kirchner became president, and under his administration, Argentina was restructured. It defaulted its debt with an unprecedented discount of 70% off on most bonds, paid off debt to the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, purged the military of officers with doubtful human rights records. It's probably all of them. Nullified and voided the full stop and due obedience laws, ruled them unconstitutional, and resumed legal prosecution of the hunter's crimes. So went back after the hunter. I just read that literally off Wikipedia. Sorry, I didn't have time to write that in my own words. But thanks, Wikipedia. I love you. And then Nestor's wife, Cristina Fernández de Kirchner, became president in 2007, and she was all right, I guess. Was she? No, she was a bit. She chummied up to like Cuba and Venezuela, and told the US and the UK to bugger off. And okay, yeah, I can kind of get behind that, because we went too bad, but obviously because of the Iraq War and everything, it all gone a bit horribly wrong. But Obama was on the horizon, and we still had a Labour government in the UK, but the relations between Argentina and the UK became strained like they hadn't been for a while. Anyway, a guy called I'm going to try to say this, Mauricio Macri won in 2015, and he ruled for 4 years, but he lost in 2019 to Alberto Fernandez. And he was the Kirchnerist candidate, if that's a thing now. And he rules with his vice president, Cristina Ferdinand de Kirchner. So she's back in as vice president. I assume if he dies of COVID-19, she will take control. So there you go. That's sort of a potted history of Argentina in less than an hour, just about. But also, I want to talk a little bit about sort of my experiences there and the people. I mean, look, I love the Argentinians because they remind me of Scousers in a way. They're just very sort of full on. Let's go and have fun. Let's go and do stuff. Let's go and have a laugh. But there's a certain amount of cockiness, which is a bit Liverpudlian as well, I have to admit. But I don't feel it's got as much sort of warmth and humour that we have like we do in Liverpool. A lot of our humour in Liverpool is quite self-deprecating humour. It's not as arrogant, and I think that a lot of people who meet Argentinians, especially backpacking around the world, they find them quite arrogant. Israelis as well come across as quite arrogant. I'm not disparaging an entire nation here or nations. Americans as well, but you don't meet that many Americans backpacking because Americans don't go backpacking because, I don't know, maybe they're saddled with thousands and thousands of dollars of debt at a very young age and just decide to start grinding away for the bastards and the man for the rest of their lives and not complaining about anything because they're trying to achieve the American dream, and you can only do that by, I don't know, working yourself into an early grave. I don't know, but Americans don't seem to backpack as much as other people in the world, which is one of the reasons why when they adapted The Beach to be a film, it really annoyed me that the main character, Richard, I think his name was Richard, he was cast as an American. He was cast as Leonardo DiCaprio, and he was supposed to be British. And I was like, but hang on, Danny Boyle, stop right there. I know you want Leo because he's just appeared in Titanic, and who wouldn't want him? But seriously, make him put on a British accent. Actually, no, probably a bad idea. Probably couldn't do that. Gerard said, "I don't mind you continuing for a while longer." Oh, well, thank you. I think Catherine might. I mean, I do need to go to bed at some point tonight. Pete Robbins said, "I think it was the abundance of krill around the Falklands that forced Thatcher to send in the military. Not sure what you do with krill, however. Feed it to whales." I don't know. The Welsh connection. Umka says, any prospects for Argentina? Last 2 decades, it was a lot of information about the fast growth of Brazil, but nothing about Argentina. I think it's doing all right. I mean, it's not in an economic crisis like it was, but then we don't know what the upshot of COVID-19 is going to be. It's going to put a wrecking ball to the world economy, and some of the countries that will weather the storm a lot better are the ones with competent governments. So I guess it depends on how competent the current government of Argentina is. But Argentina is working now more with its neighbours than it was in the past, and it's part of Mercosur, and it's a good thing. Hopefully it's going to get better. Hi, Graham. Sorry I'm so late, says Paul Hunt, right at the very end of the show. He's like the great prophet Zarquan from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. They're all waiting for him at the restaurant at the end of the world, and he turns over and he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry I'm late. I've arrived on time." Then the universe ends. Sorry. President wives can become presidents in Argentina, but not in the US. Go figure. Well, yeah, ovs. Last meet Malvinas or Falklands, English Channel or La Manche. Well, it's all right to have 2 different names for the same thing. I think that's okay, depending on where you're coming from. Argentines remind me of the Spanish might be the language. Yeah, maybe, because they do speak Spanish, but apparently with an Italian accent, which kind of makes true. What was Eva Perón's maiden name? Oh, Smith? Robinson? Higgins. Was it Higgins? Because I'm sure in Chile, and obviously when I get to the Chile section of this series, I'll look. I'm sure like there was a guy called like Herbert Higgins who was one of the liberators of Chile, and so they have like a Herbert Higgins street named after him, but no one can pronounce the H's because H isn't it's not pronounced the same way in Spanish. But there you go, because obviously a J is pronounced as a H. That's how you can tell the difference between a Jose from Spain or Spanish-speaking country and a Jose, which would be from a Portuguese or a Lusophone country. Haggis. Umka says Eva Perón's maiden name was Haggis. Begins with a D. Eva Eva, I don't know. I give in. I've got to look it up, haven't I? So I can't do that on camera. Like I say, I went to Argentina back in 2002, and I was back there in 2009. In 2002, I just, maybe I should get my map up again. Can I get my map up? And I'll just show you some of the places. Let's just bring this over here. So I didn't go down into Patagonia. So I went I flew into Buenos Aires. This is the first time that I came to Argentina. I flew into Buenos Aires there. And then I took a boat over the River Plate here, the Rio de la Plata, to this place here, which is called Colonia, this little town. And then I went to Montevideo for a few days. Then I came back to Buenos Aires, and then I went over to Chile, and I stopped along the way. There you go, there's Mendoza. In Mendoza, and I spent a few days in Mendoza, obviously being kept awake by someone in a backpackers somewhere. And then I headed over the Andes, got the bus from Mendoza into Santiago, and then I went down to Valparaiso, which is right over here. But I'll talk about that more in the Chile section. Just a little bit of interest for you, if you're looking at the map of Argentina, there's a weird spiral of winds, right? Let's put this in the middle, and I hope you can see what I'm getting at here. Right, so maybe if I go to the satellite image, this might become a little bit more obvious. Well, yeah, a little bit, but I think this is better. You can actually see it a bit more here. See this bit of Chile, right, is a desert. This is the Atacama Desert over here, which goes over into Bolivia and Peru. And then down here is the Patagonian Desert of Argentina. Now, meanwhile, on this side of the Andes, which are down here, this spine down here, this side at the top is all green and jungly and very beautiful and very verdant. And this part, the south of Chile, on this side of the Andes, is very green and verdant. Do you see this? And this is really interesting. This is caused by, I think, a weather vector. Basically, the wind comes this way along here, and it gets stuck. I think it's the wind. Or maybe the wind comes here and gets stuck at the mountains, so it can't go over the mountains. So this is all sheltered. So that gets all of the nice green stuff on this side of the mountains. And then the opposing effect happens here. So you have the wind coming, I assume, this way, and then it hits the Andes and it swirls about here, making everything dusty and horrible, and nothing really growing. And then on the other side, where it's not getting so much wind, you get all this green stuff here, which I think is really interesting. I mean, that's kind of a cool thing that happens in Argentina. Anyway, so after going to Chile for a few days, I headed back into Argentina, and I went to Cordoba, which is here in the middle of the screen. And then I spent a few days in Cordoba. I really liked it there. Maybe that's where the Penny Lane Cafe was. I can't remember. It's a long time ago. And then from there, I took a bus up to the Foz de Iguazu, which is up here, the top right of the map there. You can see I'm just sort of circling around, and I'll just zoom in. And that's where you can see the Foz de Iguazu is where the borders of Paraguay and Argentina and Brazil meet. And it's just one of the real immense wonders of the world, and I'd really, really recommend it to anyone who likes natural wonders, who just likes stuff, someone who, I don't know, has a soul and has a bit of oomph about them and wants to do exciting stuff. Guess. Anyway, rain shadow. That's what I was trying to say. Thanks, Chubby. Chile, the closest to Antarctica country. I would love to be there. Well, you could just go to you could just go to Texas at the moment. They're pretty cold. Borges said of Buenos Aires, there was a city where there ought to be nothing. That's not very nice, is it? Eva, Las Vegas. O'Higgins. Well done, M. Rennie. Duarte. That's a bit close to Duterte, isn't it? Duarte. So it was Eva Duarte. I like the Southern Hemisphere's. It's like the Southern Hemisphere version of the jet stream. Okay, well there you go. See, I love this, finding out new and cool stuff about the countries I'm talking about as I'm talking about it. This is way better than me just reading something out to you out loud, going, Argentina was founded in 1742 by a man with a llama. So yeah, I like it a bit more. Anyway, I've got some things here today. I've got my obviously I've got my South America on a shoestring there. Got my book, Man of the World, Graham Hughes, which is available from all bad booksellers. If you want to get that, get in touch with me. I've also got my passports, because I was asked about my passports. I've only got 4 of these. I've actually got 6 passports, and they're nearly all full. But yeah, here's a few of them. And if you want to have a sneaky pick inside my passports, and I will at one point let you have a peek at the actual things. See that there? If you can look very closely, I don't know how good this is coming up on your screen, but you can see there's a little tiny little like bird thing on the stamp. Yeah. Can you see a little bird in the corner of the stamp? Yeah, that's a dodo. That's a stamp for Mauritius. It's a Mauritius stamp. Anyway, if you want to have a look inside my exquisitely stamped, for every country in the world, passports, which I think are really cool, because I'm kind of there's a load of Egypt stamps there, a couple of trips to Egypt, and what's that, Sudan? Yeah, Republic of Sudan on the other page. If you want to have a virtual flick through. Oh look. That's Iraq. That's the stamps for Iraq there. If you want to have a flick through this, I've just set up something on my Odyssey Expedition website, which I'm working on at the moment. So a lot of the links won't work. Pictures won't come up. There'll be text where there should be pictures. But if you do go there, I'm going to give you the link. I'm just going to type it in. Hopefully the same thing that happened earlier today won't happen again when I actually tried to type in a link and it shut down my messenger capacity. I couldn't send any messages. Right, the Odyssey Expedition. This is the website of my journey to every country in the world. Oh, what? If you head over there, and then on the menu at the top, there's something that says souvenirs. Click on souvenirs, or tap on souvenirs on your phone in the menu, and in there it says passports. If you go in there, I've actually managed to find a plugin that allows me to show you my passport in 3D with sound effects. Yeah, how exciting. And you can have a flick through them and keep having a look on the site, because it's going to be updated more and more, and the pictures are going to be fixed, because there's loads of links to pictures, and it's like you see the text at the bottom saying, this is me on top of, I don't know, Mount Everest. No, I'm not that industrious. This is me on top of a mountain or something, and there's no picture there because the link that used to link to the place has been broken, and now it's just full of broken links because I haven't updated it in 10 years. So I'm updating it now. I'm making it better. Promise you I'm making it better. It's getting better, but that's something that you can look at now. You can have a look at my what's it called? Passports. So yeah, and then obviously what I normally do at this point is I will do my normal links to all my stuff, which I should have queued up, but as you could tell by the way, I was a little late getting started, and I had to actually go onto Google and look up the map because I forgot to do it before I started doing this. There we go. Let's get that up. I'm going to give you my usual links at the bottom here. It works. This is very cool, says Gerard. Yeah. Can't wait for UBR, Graham. Will it be on FM? No, Charlie Nelson, but it will be on ubr.fm, because that's the website. It's ubr.fm. Although at the moment, if you type ubr.fm into the internet, you go to the Graham David Hughes site. Where are we next week, says Alex Morgan. Thank you, Alex, for reminding me to tell you where we are next week. We're going to Armenia, which is one of the Caucasus, along with Georgia and Azerbaijan. Really hates Azerbaijan. Really has a huge problem with Azerbaijan. I might be talking about the Azerbaijani Armenian conflict over Nagorno-Karabakh. I'm going to be talking a lot about that, I think. Old USSR republic, and it became an independent state again, I guess it used to be one, and then it became one again in the 90s. And fascinating history. The Armenian Christianity is different from Christianity from anywhere else in the world, and they have their own alphabet. And it's a really cool looking alphabet. If you were a set designer and you wanted to make an alien looking language, right? Armenian. Trust me on this one. Anyway, so that's next week's country is going to be Armenia. Fantastic kebabs. So let's just wrap it up with Argentina. Like me, personally, my experiences of Argentina have been nothing but positive ones. I just had a bloody ball every time I've been there. I had a really good laugh. I really get on really well with the people there. Argentinians that I've met traveling and Argentinians who stayed with me on Ginger Island when I was there have all been fantastic. And I've really got nothing bad to say about it. Maybe some of the people come across as a bit pushy and a bit cocky that you meet when you're backpacking. But I don't really mind that, to be honest with you. At least I think given the choice between someone who's a bit of an arse but fun and someone who's very nice but a bit of a wallflower, I'll probably gravitate to the one who's a bit cocky but kind of fun. But that doesn't mean I'm ever going to vote for Boris Johnson, just to put that in there. But yeah, so no, I've had really good experiences. I've had a fantastic steak. One of the best steaks I've ever had in my life was in Argentina. And yeah, it's just one of those places that I feel, I don't know, it's one of the places in the world that if someone said to me, do you want to go to Argentina tomorrow? I would be like, for free. And they're like, yeah, I've got a spare ticket. Do you want to go to Argentina? I'll be like, yeah, okay, come on, let's go to Argentina. But obviously, I'd have to ask Catherine for permission first. So I'll be back next week talking about Armenia, and I'm not going to dress up in a poncho as an Armenian because obviously that would be a bit silly. But I might still wear my hat because I thought I'd put this on before I started because my hair's an absolute mess tonight. I didn't realise I must have been sitting on the couch upstairs, like doing my research for this. I must have had my head on the pillow or something, and on the cushion, sorry. And it's just sort of like pushed my hair up. And just before I started, I was like trying to push it back down again, and it just wasn't going anywhere. I'm so tempted to shave it all off. So very tempted. Jeremy Goff says, why do so many Armenians have names like the country? Met a great fellow in Liverpool called Armen Aslanian. That's a cool name. Armen Aslanian. Isn't he out of Attack on Titan? Come on, Graham. It's the Argentinian women, says Chubai. Well. What can I say? I don't know. Well, yes, sports. Yes, but it shares a continent with Colombia. Do you see why I'm torn here? So, and it is a little bit sexist to say, oh yeah, Argentinian women, woohoo. But yeah, Argentinian men as well, for that matter. Good looking bunch, generally speaking. Tall, dark, and usually quite handsome. So, fill your boots. Your hat gives the show something extra travelly. Yes, thank you, John. I'm going to wear this from now on, I think. Because it's a new hat, because I went on a big international expedition last year to Edinburgh in Scotland, and I on the train back, I was a little bit squiffy, a little bit free sheet to the wind, and I left my hat on the train. So my beautiful girlfriend Catherine bought me a new hat, but it hasn't adopted the proper shape yet of an Australian Akuba. Should look like that, but obviously because it's new and I haven't really worn it very much, it hasn't adopted its natural shape yet. So it will, as the series progresses, shall we say. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'll wear that next time. It's not an Indiana Jones hat, Ben Lassiter. It is, well, Indiana Jones' hat is a fedora with a large rim. And the large rim comes from the Akuba hat, which is this one. So his is slightly different, but still cool. And no way could he have gone on all those adventures and not lost his hat. He would have lost his hat so many times. Do you know how I know this? Because I lost my hat so many freaking times. Anyway, so thank you so much for joining me. I've got my links there to YouTube. Please subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I would really love it if you would subscribe to the channel. You don't have to tick the bell icon if you don't want to. You can if you want to, and that will give you a notification on your phone whenever I'm coming on live. And I have set it now so it doesn't send you a notification until I am actually live. So it'll say Graham is live, and you can come on board. I usually give it a minute or so before I actually crop up and start talking. Yeah, if you can give me a like before you go right now, that'd be great. Quick like, thank you. And finally, if you're enjoying this series or Hughes of the World, this is Hughes of the World, or Brexit Reality, or what's the Sunday one called? Hughes at 10, or whatever I'm going to start doing on Saturdays, because I think I'm going to start doing a show on Saturday soon. Please, and you want to support UBR, the Universal Basic Radio, which we're starting very soon, please head over to Patreon and just throw some money in the pot and keep me going. I'm coin operated. Anyway, so yeah, thanks Graham. Cheers Graham, says Gaz, brilliant. And I will see you hopefully next week for Armenia. And if I can see you before then, that'll be even nicer. And I'll be back with Brexit Reality at 1 o'clock tomorrow, which will be Friday. Yay, Friday. And after that, we can all get really, really drunk together. It'll be great. Right, okay, so until then, I'm going to say fair winds and following seas. Let me do that again. Until next week, I'm going to say fair winds and following seas, traveller.